Hey everybody, so I am going to do a quick no-nonsense tutorial on how to get started on this game. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you right now, this tutorial is going to seem a little bit scary. It's going to tell you how to move around, and you do not need to worry about it though. You cannot fail this tutorial. Really, if you just sat here and did nothing, it would win it for you. So I know this is going to look kind of scary to some, because it looks like I'm surrounded by a ridiculous amount of monsters, and I don't even know how to do anything yet. It's just cinematic. Don't worry about it. All right, here, you can see that they're telling you exactly what to do. So right here, just make sure that you do what's on the screen. You're grabbing a little, basically ammo, just to throw at this guy. It's just as simple as aiming, holding L2, and then pressing R2. You don't have to do any of this, by the way. You can just ignore these guys completely. They're not going to get you. Okay, so now that you're done with the tutorial, right here, you're going to talk to her. She's going to give you some suggestions. You can have her give you recommendations, but some of those recommendations are going to be for weapons that people don't consider very easy. So what I'm going to tell you is the easiest weapons that I can recommend is the one you start with on your back is a greatsword. Everyone gets used to the greatsword pretty much just to try it for once. It also has a block. So things that block typically are more user-friendly for the beginners. Like sword and shield, I really like. It is also a little bit technical, but you don't have to really get into the technicalities of it to use it well. Same thing goes for the lance and the gun lance. If you want to use any of those 4 recommendations to get started on your game, just as like a tutorial on how to do the basic functions of combat, and then you can sort of evolve and expand your knowledge of how the weapons work after, I would recommend picking one of those 4, because you do have a boss fight you have to get past, and you do have to choose one weapon. I'm going to go with sword and shield myself, because I always do, but again, that's lance, gun lance, greatsword, or sword and shield. Most friendly beginner weapons, in my opinion. All right, now that you've chosen your weapon, you should have mounted the bird. With up on the D-pad is how you do it. Look at the top right of the screen. It'll tell you all the things you can do and how to do it and whatnot. And you just follow it here. It'll force you to go this way, and you follow the green lights, so you have like green fireflies that show you where you're going next. All right, introduction to combat. It's really simple. You do not have to do this. Honestly, I know a lot of people who don't use the lock-on option with like R3, it's called. Some people like it. I don't care for it. It doesn't matter to me. But very simply, most of your combat is just triangle and circle. Just do a lot of different variations of triangle circle. You can hold R2 to block. If you're using sword and shield, if you press circle while blocking, you get like this perfect guard. It's like a parry that you can follow up with a strong attack for. A lot of the weapons, I think, do have that option too. I don't think it's exclusive to the sword and shield. Just anything that has a block option seems to have a sort of parry function. Not that I've really experimented with them at this time just yet, but that's what I've heard. So this is a very simple fight. He's weakened. He's not as strong as he usually is, and that's not to say that they're very strong at all. But just do this, just triangles, triangle, circle, circle, triangle, triangle, circle, circle. You can press them at the same time to do a spin attack. That's like a big hit, but you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to learn all this. I'm doing all the flourishing, the fancy nonsense. If all you can do is just block when you're nervous, you can block and strike with circle at the same time. You can just keep doing this if you just really want to get past this, like, super easily. You can just do this if you have to. But triangle, 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 circle, 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 circle. That's the whole combat. And then you learn how to do the combos more effectively later on. So if you're just getting frustrated, he's not going to hurt you bad. Your cat is going to heal you. Do not panic. Keyword here is do not panic. It's just a tutorial. It's not as hard as it looks. Alright, let me use this opportunity to teach you guys another fundamental mechanic of this game. There is something called a whetstone. It is the item in the bottom right of my screen. It says whetstone on it. That is for sharpening your weapons that use, not range attacks. So you will not need to sharpen a weapon like a bow or a gun bow, but you do need to sharpen weapons because in the top left you can see that it's got a little sword symbol. It is yellow. That is pretty low. Any lower than that, your weapon, if it gets down to orange-red, you will basically bounce. You won't be sharp enough to penetrate the monster's tough hide. So you do need to use the whetstone like this. You do need to stop moving and then get an opportunity, or alternatively, you can call your bird. At any time you can press up on the D-pad and call your bird. And then you can do the same thing. You can start sharpening on your bird. This is a very fundamental mechanic of this game you have to get used to. And to navigate your menu to your healing potions and whetstone, let me teach you now. There are 2 options. You can use a radial menu with your right joystick and holding L1. So you hold L1 and you'll use your right joystick and you'll just pick the item here. You can simplify this later. Don't worry about that too much right now. If you want to simplify it even further, if you just want to use something simpler than the radial menu, you think that seems too complicated, I just don't like it. The old school games have all done this. You will have that menu in the bottom right, kind of like Fortnite. If you're used to Fortnite and having your items in the bottom right, it's the same thing. But to navigate it, you still hold L1 and you press circle and square. Very simple, but you just find the items you need. The most important items right now that you need to worry about is your Mega Potion and your Whetstone. They keep them right next to each other just for you like this. All the other items are not necessary right now. Forget everything else for now. You can learn about them more as you play, but these are the two things you need to worry about. And you just navigate like that, and then you can, heal with your potion. When you actually have damage, you'll drink it. And you can still kind of walk around about at this speed while you're drinking. So you need to keep that in mind. You can still move while you drink your potion, or you can go grab these things, which also heal you instead of potions. But that is the most basic tutorial on how to get into combat. Those are your combos, that is how to sharpen, and that is how to heal. But if you remember those things, you can beat any monster with enough practice. Just keep that in mind. Okay, here's another thing you can learn about hunting monsters is eventually they will get so tired and so beaten up, they will start limping away like that. And if you look on your bottom left of the screen, they have a little symbol that I'm following. It has a white skull flashing. That means that they are skulled. It is a community term that everyone's pretty much used to by now. That means that they're ready to capture or slay. Do not worry about capturing for now. You're just going to be slaying most every monster. And in all the quests up to hunter rank 100, like level 100, I haven't really had a required capture mission, apart from maybe one single mission that I've seen. And every time that they're skulled, they will typically go to their nest and try to fall asleep. This is an opportunity to do some big extra damage. A greatsword user loves this moment because the first hit that you get on them when they wake up does bonus damage. It's a pretty big chunky percentage increased damage. What other people do who have weaker weapons, when you strike with this one hit, like a sword and shield, they will do the barrels. When you see a monster sleeping, you may see other hunters preparing barrels by the head or by the part that they're trying to break, because you need to do damage to certain parts to break them. So all you need to know is if you see other people placing barrel bombs because the monster's sleeping, you should try at least to join them. Or just if you don't know how, or if it's too frustrating, or you just don't have them, just wait for them to do it. They know what they're doing, and you can do this in this game, not in the others. You can roll the barrels like this. So you hold square on a barrel. Oop, I missed. But essentially that is what you do. You just roll the barrel, and it'll blow up, and then that big hit will get that percentage damage increase that my sword shield just can't do. And he's much closer to finishing now. Here's another mechanic that I coincidentally can show you. If you do jumping attacks, sometimes you jump on top of the monster, and then the screen will flash kind of like to indicate that he is going to try to buck you off. If he's trying to buck you off, you can just wiggle the left joystick, and it will jump to a different part of his body. While you are mounted, the other players around you are doing less damage, so your entire goal of the mount is to actually wound the monster to where the part that you're on is flashing red. If you'd like, you can wound another part of the monster by jumping to it until it is flashing red. You do not have to do that. You can really just damage one part of the body until it flashes red, and then you're going to press on R1, the R1 button, your right bumper. And that way he will collapse to the ground and everyone will get a chance to do bonus damage to him. There's a little bit more detail that you need to worry about right now. This is kind of like a advanced advice for later on. You'll learn it naturally as you play, but you might see that going on, and I just want to give you an example of what that is so you know what you're looking at when it happens. Now that the mission is done, of course, make sure you walk up to the monster's body and carve it with circle if you're playing on PlayStation. And you will get extra material rewards. This is showing you what the rewards were. You do not have to worry about this. You'll see this menu and you'll be like, what does this even mean? Forget it. Just do take all. Do not sell all. Make sure you do not basically ever do sell all. Almost no one touches this because almost all these items typically are worth keeping, and you can sell them later if you'd like. So always just do take all. Here's another thing I can teach you. The fireflies are leading me to my next mission objective. That symbol, that red symbol that is marking it like putting a pin in it right there. You'll see this all the time, even when you open your map by touching the touchpad. You'll see a symbol here. This is your next main mission campaign story objective. Yellow markers that look like this are side quests. This is your main mission objective. Keep in mind, when you progress the story, some things will become not available for you to complete, like side quests. But the most important by far is the main story campaign missions. You can do the side quests as you feel like you need to, and they will reward you with different things that are important. But for now, if you just speed run through all of the main missions, you should be better off than you are if you just, sort of fiddle around without doing the main mission, you'll not have some tools available to you that you can get used to learning how to use. So keep that in mind. That is the main symbol, this red symbol right there. And with that, we have finished the tutorial. You are now in the main hub. If you want to see some of the mission rewards you got, you can hold down on the options button and it'll show you. You will just take them all by default if you don't, so don't worry about it. If you don't know what happened to those items, they'll just go in your pocket. And you see here it's giving you some guild points, some awards that are just titles and like badges and trophies and things like that. You don't have to worry about this screen too much. You can pretty much almost always ignore this. But if you want to know what's going on a little better, it will tell you exactly what it is. And then just do with that information what you will for now. Here is everyone's favorite NPC. This is Gemma. She is the blacksmith. She will be helping you forge weapons and armor. You do not have to do much of that in the early game. You're in what's called low rank at the start of the story. You are basically fighting weakened monsters that are not super hard to beat. And you can call help. If you want to call help in any of your missions, as soon as you start a mission, you can keep an eye on this option. You're going to press options, and then don't get overwhelmed because I already know that there's a lot of things right in front of your face and it's going to look confusing and you don't know what any of this means. You don't have to know it. All you got to know is how do you call help? For now, you can experiment with these menus if you want, but it's going to overwhelm you if you just dive into it all at once, and you should just be enjoying the hunt for now. So my advice is to teach you how to call for help when you start a mission to hunt a monster. Open the pause menu, just press your options button, tab to the right once. In the top left, you'll see it says Missions and Quests. That is the tab that you can use this SOS flare. If you are starting a monster hunt and you think, well, darn, how do I use an SOS flare when I'm in the middle of a fight? The monster's coming at me. You can, for one thing, hop on your bird. You can call your bird. For the majority of your early missions, you'll have this available. Some missions, you might not have it for a little while, but I promise you they'll bring it back. And then you can still fire the SOS. If you do not want to do that, you do not have to use the options button to go here to do it. You can also hold down on the left bumper, L1, and it is right here. Down on the right joystick, while you're holding L1, will also fire the SOS flare. It is not down here. You may be able to add that, but I have never tried because it's just so easily right here, or right here. So keep that in mind when you're doing multiplayer sessions, that you can call for backup. They have NPC hunters that will help you out if no real players are available. Those NPC hunters are very good, especially for, like I said, it's a low rank, so they're fighting monsters that are pretty easy. But keep in mind, the more players that come to help you hunt a monster, the more health the monster gets. It doesn't matter when the hunters are helping you, because that health that it gains is almost always irrelevant because you do so much more damage per hunter. But that is what's going on if you think, man, this monster is harder to fight now that I've got backup, it seems like, than when I just fight it alone. If you're alone with just your Palico helping you, that monster has a lot less health to make it kind of like a speedy hunt. But when you have a bunch of really good hunters, it's going to be faster than everything. So just keep that in mind. If you need backup, right here, or right here. And this is an example of, hey, I'm fighting a monster all of a sudden, but I want help. Well, you can call your bird, and he can navigate that menu on your bird, throw on the Ghillie Mantle, just like that. He doesn't even see me right now. I'm completely invisible to this guy. And then, what else can I do? Fire an SOS flare, just like that. Similarly, like I said before, you can press options and SOS flare. If you do it a second time, it will cancel the SOS flare. Make sure you do not cancel the SOS flare. You only need to use it once, and it makes it very obvious that you used it by the giant flare that's in the sky. And in a moment here, I will certainly have some backup, whether they're real players or NPCs, it does not matter. If you want to start the fight again after you've been hiding, you can approach this guy without your weapon drawn, because if you draw the weapon, it's not likely going to be there. I haven't consistently been able to have it visible unless I put my weapon away. You can do a sneak attack. You don't have to do sneak attacks, and it doesn't always work if you've done it too recently. But it gives you a good, hefty chunk of damage right at the start. And obviously he can see me again, because I attacked him while I was in the Ghillie Mantle. You can also use these things to hide if he hasn't, fully started fighting me yet. These bushes here also work similarly to the Ghillie Mantle to hide you a little bit, but they're not completely without, issue, being that they can catch on fire like that. And if you've already started the fight, it's not going to work, so don't rely on it so wholeheartedly that you think is just going to lose you just because you walked in a bush if you already started fighting him. The next person I want to show you in this game is Jack. He is the guy who's going to help you buy some basic items to hunt with. The basic items that you need to worry about when you talk to him, which I can't talk to him just yet. Now that I'm able to use Jack, you can see he's selling potions and antidote. Not a lot of things are going to poison you, so you're going to think, man, that sounds helpful. It's not really that important. What you're not going to understand is why you can't buy more, because it seems like you're full. Well, you can change that. If you talk to him, you can do purchase, and then the first option, which I think is a mistake, is pouch. What you really want to go to is item box. You don't have to blow your whole stack of money yet. It's really not that important. Just keep in mind that the little red box symbol above the number 28 on the left shows you how much you have in storage. That is in your tent. That is how much you have. So you can have, you know, as much or as little as you think you need for the next hunt. 28 is plenty. You'll be all right. All these other items down here, kind of not important. Later on, the most important things to worry about is trap tool, large barrel, and potion. Sometimes it's nice to have wild jerky, life powder, and antidote, but it's really not that important. So just focus on these three things for now. And most importantly of all of them, potion, trap tool, and large barrel in that order. The other ammos are nice to have. They're really dirt cheap. Most of them at least. I mean, this is kind of like dirt cheap in my opinion. Some people might think otherwise, but this costs almost nothing later on. I have 3,960 zenny for now. It's called the money in this game. That seems like not a lot, but you'll see as you play through the main story, you get tons of money, way more than you even know what to do with. So keep that in mind. This is very good. He's right here next to your tent. The next most important thing you do is talk to all these NPCs with these red symbols above their heads. It's a little different than what I was telling you earlier, but it's the same thing. This is like a side objective, but still part of the main mission. One is a little bit smaller than the one that's over there, for example. All right, now that you have progressed in the main mission, you talked to all the NPCs you need to, gotten through a cutscene, this is where you're going to manage all your items you take on the hunt. It's going to look a little weird at first, and there are a lot of tabs. You don't have to worry about all the tabs right now. I'm just going to teach you the essentials. This is what you need to do before you go on every single mission, this one thing. And I'm going to make it easy for you so you don't have to worry about it. You need to go to transfer items. Some players will use range weapons. They do need ammo. You will need to replenish this. Fortunately, they have a restock all ammo button. Some ammo is infinite. So you can just rely on the infinite ammo like normal, piercing, and spread. But if you are taking a range weapon, just press restock all ammo, and there you go. It's restocked all your ammo for you. You're good to go. You can leave. But the other most important thing, I would argue even more important than ammo pouch, is item pouch. This is for stocking your items like healing potions. The most important thing you're going to need because you're going to take some hits. Your cat will heal you most of the time, and that's fine. But you are going to need to remember to take your healing potions. If you just have this, you can do a hunt. You don't need anything more. You can learn what these other things do, but you do not need anything else. The other best thing I would recommend doing is taking one well-done steak. You can take more if you want. It does heal you. It's not a good healing option. What this is for doing is increasing your maximum health and stamina. It is so helpful. If you come in here and you see what menu I've just brought up, I'm still in the item pouch menu. You go here. They do have loadouts. I have to push down on the left joystick to bring that up. This is also very helpful, but if you don't want to use these, if this looks like too much for you, you can just delete them. Because honestly, they're good, but they're not that important. I would just make a new loadout. That simple. You can take more things, and you can read up on what they do. They tell you what these items do. But again, if you just want a loadout, then you come into your tent and say, hey, I'm ready to start a hunt. You go in and you just started getting in your tent. You go into your item pouch. You go to loadout, and you just do this. That is to restock all your items. Or you can manually do it down here. But that's why the loadout's easier, because when you start adding a bunch of things, like I want one well-done steak, I want antidotes for poison, I want life powder, which is for healing your friends, and I want barrel bombs to blow up the monster, you can have loadouts made that have all those things already in it, so that when you come to your tent, it's as simple as just saying, restock, and it's all there. And so, you leave your tent. Let's say you did not grill a meal. Let's say you just didn't do it. We'll skip all that tutorial. Let's say you're getting ready to go on a hunt and you want to, not grill a meal for whatever reason. You decided it's not worth it. You can just eat this steak first before you even start, and look at the top left. Boom. huge boost to your health and stamina anytime you want it. Getting those well done steaks is super easy. You can talk to the cat that will be standing here. Periodically, he'll just restock you with rations and well done steaks sometimes, and then that's an easy way to get it. So if you're wondering how do you get well done steaks, you can also grill them. Jack, the supply man, gave you all these tools that you can use. This is just some basic essential equipment. If you want to make more rations as well as more well done steaks, this is how you can do it. Just follow along with me and get ready to press X. You're waiting for the meat to flash a different style like that. It's cooked now. And get ready for the second part. Slash, 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 slash in time with the meat. And just like that, you've gotten 12 well done steaks. Or about, actually it looked like it gave me 8 that time. I've gotten 12 before. Maybe it's because I use a perk that increases my grilling abilities to make more. But just like that. Now it's a well done steak, and now you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might be based on your timing matching up well, because that also might matter how many you actually make. But essentially, that's how you get more of that. I've never really had to do that, to be honest. I did it once for fun, and I haven't really had to do it again. So I'm teaching you because you can learn, but you don't have to do it. The other items is a Ghillie Mantle. If you're sick of fighting a monster and you are running away and you want it to stop chasing you, you can put this on. It will instantly lose track of you. I know it sounds stupid, but he will instantly lose track of you. But the other thing to keep in mind is as soon as you attack with this, now it can see you again. So keep that in mind. If you want to run away, you got to commit to running away. If it hits you, it will also come off of you. So one hit from any type of damage at all will take it off of you. And another item to teach you is the capture net. If you like these small little creatures that you're seeing in the distance and you want to capture them and possibly put them in your hunter's bedroom that will, come out at a later date, like those things over there. You can throw a net at them or fish and you'll capture them, and then it will go in your log. You'll have a hunter's log. You'll have a hunter's log that goes in here. Eventually you'll see it that, shows you information about large monsters, small monsters, and endemic life. Those things over there are called endemic life. That's just the smallest of the creatures. The other small creatures that I was talking about slaying for steak meat was out there, the giant dinosaurs. And then the really giant dinosaurs and, bears and different kind of creatures that you'll encounter are large monsters. And it'll show it listed exactly like that in the list. If you go to your tent now and you go to your item loadouts, you'll realize there's more things than there were before. I'm going to teach you now what's essential. It is still the potions and the whetstone. You can click these once so that you see this white bag turns red, and then it won't show on your item bar. And these things here are all not important. If you don't think you're going to use this to hide from monsters, you can hide it too. Most people would not, and in fact it helps you with getting sneak attacks later on. Is a kind of more of a complicated mechanic that you can utilize later. So I wouldn't actually advise hiding this, but if you don't want these to be here, you just don't want to see them, doing that, making them red when you leave the tent, they're not going to be down there anymore. You can even hide the whetstone. In fact, it's also got that white symbol you can hide. And then you can just rely on the radial menu this way if you want to do it that way. But I don't think most people would do that. I think I do that later on in the game as like a professional because I use the radial menu so much. But most people would say just leave that alone and leave the Ghillie Mantle. And that's about it. Okay, and at this point you will have realized that the true multiplayer is officially unlocked. Before, if you use the SOS flare, I believe you'll get NPC followers, but now you should be able to join all other real players in the game from this point on, whether it's on PC, console, Xbox, PlayStation, they're all cross-platform, so if you got friends to play with, go ahead and invite them to your game now. Let me now show you how to actually join your friends in multiplayer. One way you can do it, if you've already made a squad, which I'll explain briefly, is do squad lobby search. If they've already invited you, it will show up here, and you can just join it. It even has a squad ID, so you can give that to other people so that they can search for it and join it that way. Alternatively, if you've connected to them, you can go into the members list and invite them that way. I'll show you that as well. To search for the lobby, you can also do the lobby ID search, which, like I said, is right here. Now, truthfully, the online multiplayer experience is one of the more confusing aspects of the game, but it isn't too bad once you get used to it. And I'll just start with the squad lobby, which is by far the easiest way to continuously join your friends. You'll talk to Felicita, and then let's talk squads. You can create a squad, and then, join new squad. You can also search for their ID or create a new squad if you'd like. And when you create the squad, there's some customizable aspects of it, but essentially that's not really important. What is important though is getting the squad ID, which is back on the top there. You'll see there. Squad menu. I can have squad requests, see somebody wants to join my squad, so I'll approve it. And the same goes for your other friends. If they are directly invited to the squad by you, the owner of the squad, then they'll just join. You don't have to go here to confirm it. But if they're sending you an invite without having like met in game, then you'll go here to actually approve the request. Like I approved that gentleman there. So Norbert has joined, and now whenever they're on the main menu, they can just do squad search and select that lobby like I was showing you, and they'll just load in. But just keep in mind the squad lobbies are limited to 10 players at a time. If you have too many players in a squad at the moment and you still want to play with your friends, you still can, even if they're not in the same squad lobby. This is how you can add your friends without using squads at all. If you don't like the idea of squads, it sounds like too much trouble, you can press options. You will go to this info tab where that monster field guide was, and you'll go to hunter profile. So again, that's pause. You'll start here normally on items and equipment. You'll tab over to the right twice. And suffice to say, I've added enough to my hunter profile to flash what I've achieved in this game that is a little bit of a minor spoilers. If you don't want to see that, if you don't want to be spoiled just by like icons for monsters that are slain, you can just avoid this next part. I'll just explain it without showing you. But essentially you'll open this up and you'll press down on the right joystick and it'll reveal your ID. And this is me doing it down on the right joystick. It says my username at the very top, 667RJ69L. That's my hunter ID. That's how I get friend invites. But what you do with that ID, the people who are inviting you to join them in what's called a link party, tabs over once to communication. It says link party right here. They press X. Invite to link party. And this is some friends I've already added. This is not where you search for a player though. You're actually going to have to keep tabbing. I know this is a lot, but just bear with it. You're almost done. Tab once, twice, 3 times, 4 times after opening that up, and here you see Hunter ID search. You'll just press triangle. They are case sensitive, so make sure you're doing the capital and lowercase, of course. But once you add that person, they have to open their options. They will see this will flash with an exclamation mark, say invitation list, and it'll tell you somebody's trying to invite you to a link party. They will accept that, and then you'll be together. And you'll be able to see, like, view link members. It'll show you both here. Also, if you just hover over, like, if you pause in the bottom right, instead of seeing, like, the active skills and status and whatever, it'll tell you that there's people in a link party with you when you just open your pause screen. And then you can add them as a friend and follow them, but I would go to communication, view link members. It'll show them, right? And then let me just give you an example. They'll show them in the link members list here on this tab. But I'm over in friends list now, and I would do follow. This would say friend, so I would friend them. And then if you have a squad, this is where the leader of the squad can invite them to join the squad. And then as long as they accept, they'll just be right in it. And then when they go to that start menu and do lobby search, they can just join, and every time they start playing for the day, they say, I want to play Monster Hunter, jump in the lobby, and you'll see all your other friends who are doing missions, and they'll have their missions right here with Alma. She's the mission handler. So it'll say lobby member quests or link member quests. If they're not in your lobby, but you still have them in a link party, the same thing. They're just not in your lobby and you're still in a party with them, a link party. You'll see their quests posted here. It'll search, it'll show you what they're doing, and you can pick which friend you want to join, do what. Lobby search, it will show everybody in the lobby who's doing something for you to join. And that's how you do the multiplayer. And it's full explanation, basically. There's not much more to it. There's really just that. There is voice chat built into game if you're curious. But if you can get through all that, the multiplayer really does just become as simple as open game, start game, select character, lobby search, join lobby. Everyone who's playing is already there. And you can just start. But if you have to do invite to link party because they're not in a lobby, you still go to invite to link party. But if you've already added them as a friend, I can add all these people. As long as they're online, I can add them to a link party just right here. It'll give you the option to just select them to add to a link party, right? So, with that in mind, let me move on to the next part. So while you are riding your bird in these cutscenes, you can pick these items up by holding left trigger, L2, and aiming and pressing circle. You have a little grapple hook on your wrist. If you walk close enough, you can just grab them by pressing circle as well. But an even better trick to remember is if you don't even want to look at these items, you see on the left of your screen above your radar, right in the middle left of the screen, it says Thunderbug, and soon it will say another item, Rock Burst. You can hold left trigger, say I look straight up at the sky, and then on the left you'll see if you press down and up and down on the D-pad, you can toggle between these items and then still press circle on them, and you'll harvest them or activate them. Like this Thunderbug, I'm not even looking at it. And I just, you know, there's so many things cycling that sometimes it gets in the way of you grabbing it, like that. But if you know, have enough time, or if you're in full control of your bird, which I'm not really right now, I can go a little bit out of my way for it, but they're mostly just automatically making me travel. You can go back and grab them that way. But just remember that as a nice trick. You can just use the up and down D-pad, holding down left trigger, pressing circle to grab these things. Here's an item that'll boost your stamina recovery as well as work as a ration, by the way, if you want to know what a Wriggly Lich is doing for you. I'll just teach you that now. Here's an example of some small monsters that you can slay and get raw meat. That is to make those rations and well-done steaks I was talking about earlier. They're not aggressive. They will just run from you. It breaks some people's hearts to do it, but that is how you get raw meat that you can cook to help you on your hunts. This is a hunting and gathering mission, as well as just full of boss fights, basically. That is the game at its core, is surviving by collecting things, materials like bugs and different, you know, other useful materials for crafting hunting gear and cooking. You might be wondering, why did they make a quest out of hunting honey? It's because this is for making mega potions. This is one of the most important items, if not the most important item in the game for basic gameplay. You need honey eventually, and there are other ways to get it, mind you. You can send other people out eventually to get it for you. And you can also wear equipment that boosts how much you get every time you grab it. So those are some things to keep in mind, is honey. And the other most important item for just crafting the basic potions, these small potions, is herbs, green herbs. They're just called herb. And you'll see them all the time. So when you see honey, I would go out of your way and collect a little bit. You don't really have to do it as much. It's not like a majorly important thing. You have to go out of your way every time you see it. But it is something to keep in mind. You're going to realize at this point in the story that you've lost your bird, so you do have to walk around and run around just to get where you're going. Don't worry about it, you'll get it very soon. They're just doing that as an example of the story limiting you on your movement, because it is tied to, you know, somebody else's horse, essentially. It belongs to the village. Don't worry about it. If you're skipping through cutscenes and you're wondering, what the heck happened? I missed my bird. How did I lose it? Did I do something wrong? It's not you, it's just a story. So here's an example of a fight that is not a giant monster. It is a small monster hunt. I have turned on arachnophobia mode because honestly I love these flubber-like jelly things to fight. You do have to slay these just like they're large monsters basically, but they are so much easier to beat. Like I've already slayed about 3 of them, and they do not do a lot of damage. As you can see in the top left, I'm losing almost no health at all. They are a little loud. You can edit the volume if you want, but you know, that's just something to be ready for. You're going to get swarmed, and then you're going to see this guy, and he's going to freak you out, but don't worry. It's not time to do all that yet. Just slay a couple small enemies and get ready for another fight later, not even with this guy. In the future, you will get your Seikret back, your bird that you're riding as a mount in this game. You can switch to your secondary weapon by pressing right on the D-pad, is one thing I also want to give you advice on. But also, something that the community has decided they hate is the automatic movement. You'll be riding your bird and you're going to wonder, why the heck is it moving without me telling it to move? The setting is right here. So I'm going to show you again. Press Options, go all the way to this tab, System, Options, and this first window you're on, and the top left is just called Options. You're going to go to the page 3, right on the D-pad twice. This is the setting that's doing it. Everyone turns this off. They hate it, and with good reason. It's pretty obnoxious. If you also want to turn off an annoying setting, I would disable auto sheath. I don't think it's recommendable. I think a lot of people recommend turning that off as well, because when you're fighting, a lot of like classes don't want the weapon just automatically decide, hey, I want it put away. So if you want to put away a weapon, you can just start running, and it'll do that. Your running option is how you put away a weapon. Also, pretty sure it tells you another button if it does. Actually, it doesn't. Okay, well, anyway, running will put away your weapon. So just keep that in mind. Any kind of running will put away your weapon. Whether you push down on the left joystick, or if you press R1, right bumper, that'll put it away. So automatic sheathing is really just the game possibly getting in your way. So I would just turn that off as well. Something else to keep in mind about this game is it's not like a game called Dark Souls or other games where you take fall damage. You can jump off stuff no matter how high and you will not hurt yourself. Like here, you can just run and it'll jump off and he doesn't even care. He's got knees of steel, so use him. Probably the most important NPC besides, you know, Jack over there with the supplies and Gemma for upgrading your gear is this support desk cat. What you do when you talk to them, he'll explain, but he's basically like your between the devs to the players communications cat. So you'll see also bounties you can complete. They change about, you know, 2 days and 19 hours, I believe they're per week is how they function. So then it'll tell you exactly how you can get these armor spheres, which is a very important item. You do want a lot of armor spheres. So doing these bounties will help you very much in the long run. I would keep coming to this cat and checking to see what they are so that you can clear them, because once a week, the rewards that will be all filled up down here are very valuable. Besides that, if you have add-ons, a lot of people will have add-ons. You can go straight to here, and it'll show you some options you can pick from. But if you've already got content claim, like to claim, it's all here. This is where you actually claim it. So you can just do, you know, claim one at a time. And this is how you get actual gear that helps you in the game. Like a Hope Talisman, or Hope Charm it's called, is a talisman that will boost your stats. These are giving you potions, honey, well-done steak, large barrel bombs, and armor spheres. This is giving you armor and weapons for your cat. This is giving you more armor for your cat. This is just, you know, pendant for looks. It's like a little cat talisman you can hang off your side of your bird when you're riding on your horse and on your weapons. This is more mega potions, rations, life powder, max potions, herbal medicines, nullberry, armor spheres. Don't worry about all the details. These are just good things to have. So you're going to wonder, how do I use all these things? You don't have to worry about it right away, but still take them because they're free. Some of these things you might not have because I did more, you know, demo beta testing than you did. So some of these might be rewards from that. So if you don't see all of them, don't worry about it. They're not essential. You're not missing out that hard. They're just a little bit of an extra help. Now let's talk about actually upgrading your gear with the smithy before you go on your main mission quest. It's very simple. You're going to talk to her. You're going to talk to manage equipment. And without touching anything, as soon as this menu comes up, you can press X. Pick the weapon that you're using. You already have one of each of these weapons to experiment with. If you want to experiment with them, you go straight to there. That is where your tent is. That is where the training area is. So you can go straight to there and you can test any of those weapons. They're already in your inventory. So you can already like go to your tent, switch your weapon out. May as well show you. Change equipment. Change the primary. Pick any weapon you want from here. See, I have a greatsword already. I have a lance already. I have a hunting horn. You can just play with all these right now. You could do it a little earlier than I'm even telling you now to experiment if you want. But whenever you've decided what weapon you want to try, you'll go back to Gemma. Do forge and upgrade equipment. Pick that weapon. And right here, this looks complicated. Already I know that somebody's going to be like, that's a lot. I already know somebody's in their head saying, this is a lot to learn. It's crazy looking. Some people are going to be overwhelmed by this. Some people are used to this mechanic. It's alright. For anybody who's new to this, it's not that complicated right now. Later, you'll learn as you go. But this little tutorial here to start from the basics is, if you see that blue hammer symbol on this item that I'm on right now, the one on the left right here, Hope Sword 1, that means you can build it.
Ready to get to work?
And it'll show you below the image what the material and upgrade materials are. For this, it just costs 200 zenny, which is money I've already got in the top right. So if you want to get one of these, you don't need more than one necessarily, unless you're upgrading to one of these branches. But for now, I already had one. I went here and I used 2 iron, and I upgraded to Hope Sword 2. I don't even know what the materials are that will be for the next upgrade. So don't worry about that for now. But they will let you upgrade to Hope Sword 2 if you're using Sword and Shield. Or, you know, for the Greatsword, Hope Blade 2. Everyone will be able to upgrade at least to the next level by now. They'll give you 2 iron for free. The iron ore for free will be used to upgrade one of these. And then you say you want to upgrade your armor. It's different. It looks different, and it's like, whoa, all this armor. To summarize, there are 5 pieces of armor. That little green check means you are currently wearing it. This little red box symbol means it's in your storage. You already have it. You don't need to craft more of it. I could make more. Don't bother. You've already got it. It's in your inventory, in your tent. If you want to use any of this other armor for now, it's just cosmetic. You just wear whatever it is you feel like wearing for now. The challenge won't be so hard that you need to upgrade your armor too much. So if you like how this looks, just wear that. If you like how this looks, just wear that. If you want to preview how the entire armor set looks, you have these 5 tabs, and then to the left of it, you can just select the whole thing. So you have a masculine and a feminine armor set for each one. So you've already gotten all this armor to wear. So you can pick from any of these, whatever you think looks good. This you do not have yet, but I could craft some of it. And this is what happens. She'll do a little cutscene. You can skip it if you want. Most people don't. But it is the same cutscene after a while, so you might get tired of it. Go Gemma.
Perfection.
And then it's going to ask if you want to equip it. You can now, or if you don't want to, it'll be in storage. But let's say you equip it. Now you're going to look like this. And it just shows you the materials you need, just like I'm saying. Those bugs that we were fighting that look like slimes, those are the 𝕒𝕟𝕒𝕟𝕦, they're called. That's how you craft this unique armor that doesn't come with an entire armor set to it. It's just one piece of armor. Usually it's one piece of armor because it comes with a pretty unique skill. I'm going to touch base with how the skills work briefly. Don't get overwhelmed. It's just going to be really simple. So on the right, I know that you see equipment info and status at the top. Most of it for now, the details aren't super important. But if you want to know what the skills are and where they are, you can view them here. I have Speed Sharpening, Divine Blessing 3, Stun Resistance. And if I crafted this armor and put it on like this, you'll see now I have Entomologist, and I lost Stun Resistance by 1 point. These things cannot go past their limit. Do not get 8 different points for Stun Resistance, because you can only maximize the skill at 3. Divine Blessing can only go to 3. It doesn't go to 5, so any extra points you put towards that is wasted. You don't need it. And let me tell you, a lot of these skills, just having 1 point in it is pretty good. So if you're worried about maxing out all the skills possible, don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal if you don't max those out. And below you're going to see something else. It's going to say Group Skills. That means that there's a skill tied to this armor that is not specific to the head. It is just specific to the group skill that belongs to this armor set. It has 𝕨𝕒𝕒𝕟𝕘, which is Honey Hunter. That is an ability that increases how much honey you get. But then you're going to see the number 3, and you're wondering, why does it say 3, right? Well, it's because you need 3 different pieces of armor that have it to gain that ability. This armor doesn't even have a group ability, so this doesn't have anything to worry about. There's no group ability to it. This does not either, and neither does Leather, and neither does the Hope set. But this does, the Chupacabra set that you fought, the first tutorial monster you fought. This has Flexible Leathercraft. That increases your gathering speed. And if you want to see more details on the skills, you can press triangle on PlayStation and go to skill info. This is going to show you some stuff first, but I would just skip over by pressing R1 and look at all your skills. That's what I always do when I'm looking at like skill info. I don't really look here unless it's right here. I look at all of them just to see. And then it'll tell you, what armor piece are you wearing that has flexible leathercraft? Well, it's showing me that the head is highlighted, so it's tied to the head. And then speed eating, it is also tied to the head armor. The stun resistance is coming from the belt I'm wearing, and it shows you it reduces duration of stun by 30%. The stun is like you get stars over your head if you're wondering just immediately what that is. That is what it is. Divine Blessing is one of the best abilities that will decrease the amount of damage you take by 50% pretty often. Not always, but it's very, very good. So, that is to say a lot about stuff you don't need to worry about for now. I'm explaining this near the end of the video because that's a little bit more details that, again, you don't have to worry about unless you want to. A lot of people will say, that's too much work, and I just want to hunt monsters, and just do that. And that's perfectly fine. Play this game at your own pace. There's no right and wrong amount of time to take while you learn how to play it. It is a lot of game because it is a lot to learn because it's just about like a lifestyle experience. It's a role-playing game. You're playing the hunter. You gather and you gather materials and you hunt monsters at your own pace, and that is how you play the game. If anyone's telling me, you're not hunting monsters fast enough or you didn't know that, that's crazy. You should have known that. you know, relax, because it's just a game to play at your own speed. You fail a hunt, well, big deal. You've basically lost nothing. It's not like Fortnite. You're not playing against other players, and it's not a competitive thing where you're supposed to be the best right from the start. You don't have to study this game super heavily to just get into the bulk of the game. So just keep that in mind going forward. No one should be criticizing you. No one should be telling you hurry up. Everyone should just be learning this game at their own pace. And like, it's really just about dressing up your hunter cool and fighting cool monsters with cool, you know, attacks, and kind of achieving something awesome as a group. And so I'm teaching you all this to make it easier on you, but there's no pressure. Anybody who's feeling pressure and overwhelmed, just remember, if you've hunted 1 or 2 monsters today, just save and keep going, or you can save and quit. By going pause, just make sure you save, because this is a game that does autosave sometimes, but you're always going to want to not just exit out of the game by closing it. You're going to want to save and quit and pick it up again the next day that you feel like playing it at your own pace. And your friends can help you out tremendously, but I would recommend trying not to get carried too much by your friends, because you do need to struggle a little bit to learn what could, you know, go differently. So just, we're a friendly community. You should be able to ask almost anybody how something works, and we should have an answer pretty quickly and easily for you. It's a very friendly community. You'll find that a lot of people are very eager to get more hunters in their games, because it's just a fun, you know, relaxing, cozy game. I know it's a lot of fighting giant monsters, but at its core, it's a cozy game. I relax to this, so I don't feel any pressure so far. There will be hunts later on that will bring the pressure for sure, but for now, that's how you should be going into the game with that mindset. It's just a comfort game, and just learn it however fast you feel like learning it. Right here, something else you can get used to using. A lot of people will never use this, even though it's a very helpful thing to learn to use in the game. This is a trap, because it's just vines in a tree, and they even tell you, hey, there's vines in a tree that you can use as a trap. Well, if you pull it down, and he walks right over to it, it is a vine trap, and he'll get stuck. And you can just wail on him for free. Something else it's teaching you now is focus. If you hold down on left trigger, L2, you'll see these glowing spots on him, right? Every weapon, as far as I'm aware, can make use of it. You can see just then, they destroyed the wound, it's called. The red spot on him is called the wound. It is like a critical weak point. If you strike it, you will do more damage. Everyone will do more damage. As a courtesy to other players who play around the wounds, I would not go out of your way to destroy them immediately. Here's an example of the tail chopping off because they did enough damage to the tail finally. But back to my point about the wounds. A lot of people will really not like it if you destroy their wounds early, because things like the bow and arrow users target those wounds constantly without destroying it. If they destroy it by just striking it without doing this lock-on and grab attack, like how I just created a wound with the sword and shield, sometimes you can actually intentionally cause a wound. Oh, there's the vine trap. Well, here's an example of me destroying a wound on purpose. I hold left trigger, L2, and press right bumper, R1. And then I destroy it with triangle once I'm latched on. And now the wound is gone, and all that extra damage people could be using for their weapons to benefit everyone is gone early. So, if you're playing with certain weapons that you're aware want those wounds maybe destroyed sooner rather than later because they just don't make much use of it, or the wound is too far out of their way that they can't even reach it, you can destroy those wounds that are like on parts of the monster's body that no one's able to really reach. That's fine. But just as a rule, I would try not to intentionally destroy wounds extra early, unless you're hunting alone and you like doing it, because it does give you some extra materials early. If you just start popping wounds left and right, they do give you extra parts of the monster for it. But that's something about the community that you might learn the hard way, is somebody might kick you out of their quest because you're destroying all their wounds, and it's like, that's how they get most of their damage, is because they need to target those weak spots that were created that aren't there all the time. So please keep that in mind going forward. It'll help you make friends and stay friends longer. After clearing that mission, I have unlocked the secondary weapon. The secondary weapon will be on your Seikret, on your bird. You see this little pouch right there on his side? That is holding your second weapon. You, again, just to access that, you need to press up on the D-pad to mount it, and then right, and you'll see he switches weapons. I do not really recommend fighting on the Seikret. You can attack while you're riding, but you'll do a massively less amount of damage. At least for all the weapons I'm aware, do a lot less damage than if you just got off and started fighting. So just keep that in mind as well. I don't think anyone recommends fighting while you're on the Seikret. And if you want to get off quickly, you can also do like circle and triangle at the same time to do jump attack. That's also very helpful. So triangle and circle will leap off and do an attack, but most of the time you'll just hop off the Seikret like that. I'm going to teach you about equipment loadouts now. So as soon as you hop in the tent, you're familiar with the item pouch and the loadouts here. It's time to get into the equipment loadouts. You'll go over to the equipment menu here. You don't have to mess with necessarily all this stuff. You can sell weapons you do not want to use that you hate, or armor that you're not using. That's fine, but I wouldn't get too crazy with that. You can also, if you're using a heavy bowgun or a light bowgun, customize them here, which is also something very good to know, because it changes how they fight. Like this has normal, pierce, spread, elemental boost. Sometimes this down here has more, like ignition. Let's say you want to try those things. Go ahead and change these and go on different like little training sessions in the training camp. Maybe not necessarily just go fight a monster with these settings changed, but go test them in the training camp. You do not waste ammo while you're in there, so you can, you know, play with it to your heart's content until you're satisfied that you like what you like. And these are like the special ammo types. They look very similar because they're all Wyvern something, Wyvern Blast, Counter, Heart, Piercer, but they are different. So try them all out if you're using a bowgun. Light bowgun as well is a little different, and different guns that you craft will have different things that you can play with as well. So that's the first thing you can learn if you're using the bowguns. Most people who aren't using bowguns will just go straight to here, change equipment. Now here you can see your primary and secondary weapon, your head, chest, gloves, belt, and leg armor, and your talisman. You don't really necessarily, for a long time, have to even look at the stuff on the right. I know it's, again, that menu that might make people nervous. You don't have to look at all that stuff right away. But what I do want you to worry about is your main weapon and your secondary weapon. Pick two weapons you like. I don't care what they are. Just pick some weapons you like. A lot of people like the hunting horn as a secondary weapon if they only want to use one favorite, because a lot of the hunting horns have songs that like buff your attack. If you tab on this menu, that you can see different songs that will do different things. If you're playing the hunting horn, you should get familiar with learning what horns you're using have for their song arsenal, because it's kind of like the customized bowgun stuff. The hunting horn has different songs. And right here on the first page of equipment info, you can see below the sharpness, below the slots, below the defense bonus, it says notes, and it says echo bubble. The hunting horn, when you hold R2 and press X on the PlayStation, will do an area effect, and it tells you what the area effect is doing to you while you're in it. It gives you an evasion and movement speed bonus, and that lasts a little bit while you run out of the circle, as far as I'm aware. So some of these things are very helpful, like healing the team. Boosting affinity, I think, is one of them. Evasion, movement speed is also fantastic. You know, some of that stop you from catching fire or being poisoned. It's a support weapon, and you play all these songs to support not just yourself, but your whole team. So it's a very good hammer-like weapon that you swing around while you also play some jams. But, you know, I'm still rocking the sword and shield. The armor set, this is where you can pick those other armors, like the one I crafted, to wear. Again, it's really not super important what you use for now, because you're in low rank and all the gear is kind of crappy, so don't worry about it too much. If you did talk to the cat I was talking about earlier that gives you rewards, you can see the talisman that he gave you, for some of us at least. It actually has a unique glow on the hand. Not all the talismans do that. This is a special one as a special reward, I believe, for the beta, the people who cleared the demo. But it gives you just some abilities. Recovery up and self-improvement is very helpful. So if you have it, go ahead and equip it now. It'll just help you in the hunts. But besides that, just pick armor that you like the look of. Like if you want to look like a cool dude, whatever you want. Doesn't matter what you take. Just pick an armor set that you want for now. If you can craft anything, which I'm not so sure, you maybe can craft right away. Still go right over here. And I will give you some advice on armor early in the game that's very helpful. Is the 𝕋𝕙𝕒𝕟𝕜𝕤, the fire chicken that you were fighting. You know, this armor set looks kind of like a Spanish knight warrior type of look. This is very good armor. And you can just mix match the set until you got an armor set you think looks cool. But this has something called flinch free, and flinch free is very helpful. Another armor set that I wear the helmet for was a monster called Congalala. You'll fight Congalala not long from now at all. You'll go through, like, spoilers, a spider fight, and then probably straight on to Congalala, if I remember correctly. And then you'll get access to his armor set. I would just wear the helmet, because you can use that helmet armor's ability to, instead of just being limited to mega potions and like well done steaks for that matter for healing options, you can eat blue mushrooms, and you see blue mushrooms all the time, and it heals quicker than potions, but it only heals about as much as a regular healing potion. That's not a mega potion. So that's my armor set recommendations for early game. You can beat the entire game with just that armor set. I basically did on stream on Twitch, and I believe, having said that, that concludes the beginner's tutorial that I've decided to make. For all the newcomers who are not familiar with Monster Hunter, this should be something you can play along or have played along with me, just to get started without, you know, dealing with all the confusion. That's the bulk of what you need to know just to get going and, like, basically dive into the story. Just keep diving into the story, watching those tutorials they give you. If you're skipping through the cutscenes, fair enough. Some people don't care. Some people don't like the story. That's fine. It's whatever. But at least watch the tutorials, because there is a lot to learn about this game, and you will become a liability if you're in high rank and you don't know how to, like, do certain things. But just pace yourself, because, you know, there's tutorials like this one on YouTube that you can watch, and if you have any questions about anything, you can certainly check out, you know, Reddit, or just ask a friend that's also playing this game. You can leave a comment in the video. I'll be happy to answer some questions if you have any left over. Anything I didn't mention in this video, that's fine. But I hope it was helpful to you. I tried to get just down to the nitty-gritty of what's most important. This has been, to my knowledge, the most important stuff you can worry about. You know, grilling your food, getting your new tent, bringing your items out. Because once you've used these potions in a fight, you know, you got to know to replenish them. Some people might not know that. Some people might just think it's constantly replenishing your stuff without you having to go into your tent and bring it all out. Well, it's not. And, you know, if you are getting, you know, too overwhelmed by a monster hunt, you can always just back off, get on your bird, throw on a Ghillie Mantle if you want, or, you know, just run away. If you keep running away, the monster will eventually stop chasing you. Some of them are pretty determined, but you can just run away. Eventually they will leave you alone. And you can just take a breath, maybe go back to your tent and get more healing potions. During hunts, you can go back here and just pick up more healing potions. It's fine. You can change your equipment if you have to. But this is a game that you can take your time with. It gives you an hour to hunt these monsters most of the time. Later, it will give you 30 minutes, which is still a lot of time to finish these fights. And you have all these other people who are willing to help you fight them. So just if anyone's bought the game and they're having buyer's remorse and they just don't think they can do it because it's too hard, just take your time. This is a game that you can definitely relax and just practice at your own pace. And just thank you very much for anyone who stuck with the video to the very end. I am holding a $50 giveaway if you're watching at the time of the making of this video. By the end of, I believe, April, I'll have this concluded. So anyone wants to leave a comment in the video saying that you have subscribed and just leaving the comment POYO, P-O-Y-O, I'll know that you've entered the giveaway. And I will either give you, you know, a game card, send you some money through PayPal, or I will donate to a charity of your choice. So please make sure you enter that if you are interested. This is brand new and you have a lot of time to enter. But again, at the end of April of this year, 2025, that will be over. I might have another giveaway in the future though, so stay in touch with my videos, and just I'll make plenty of announcements on my social media. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and a happy hunting.